Okay, and we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our English chat. It's great to be here. It's great to see you all. I hope you had a great break. If you're coming in from Professor Kiva's lesson, or if you're just joining us today, we are going to be talking about something that everybody can relate to. And as you can see from this little drawing behind me, that is our topic today. We are going to be talking about stress, what stress is, how it affects your life, as well as ways that you can cope or deal with or manage your stress. So, also, everyone, please stay tuned to the end because we will be having a short quiz to see if you've been paying attention this whole time. And there could be a small surprise for you. So, please hang on till the very end. Today, we're going to do a lot of focus on learning words as well as expressions that you can use in a discussion about stress. Wow, so many people are commenting already. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. I have Joseph commenting, wow, you dyed your hair. Yes, and I do not want to speak too much about that. However, it does tie into today's lesson because changing our appearance, I think a lot of women can relate to dyeing their hair, for example, is perhaps a way that we can cope with our stress. So, yes, I have changed my hair, but it will probably look different the next time we speak because it is sure to lighten up as time goes by. All right, let's move on, shall we? So, our first question today is, well, how do we define stress? I would love to hear from you first. So, please, in our chat room, would you give me your definition of stress? What is stress? Let's wait and see. I'll give you some time to come up with your ideas. And I would really like to know if somebody, maybe with a scientific background, could tell us a little about our body's response to stress. We'll do all of this technical stuff before we get into our discussion about the language we can use. Yes, and we're getting off to a great start. I see so many people still coming into our discussion. And to remind our viewers who are just coming in right now, our topic today is stress. Stress can make us feel a little bit like the Incredible Hulk sometimes when it really gets to us. So, how can we define stress? What is stress? I have Joseph commenting again. Oh, if I get stressed, I'd like to drink beer. We can talk about that later. I think that drinking alcohol is a common reaction or response to being stressed. Somebody says, my husband. Oh, you're so bad. Anybody else? How can we define stress? Oh, I see the joke now. Yunhei Choi. My husband is the definition of stress. Okay, that stays between us. Bad for healthy by Pony. Pony, thank you so much. That's a really great answer. Stress is certainly bad for health. We actually need to say just the word, the noun, health. Healthy is more of the adjective. For example, I have a healthy body. I have Keshik Park saying, even though there is something I want to get or to be, but I can't. That kind of situation. Yes, that is a great example of stress or a stressful situation where we really want something. We're so frustrated, but we can't get it or achieve it. Studying, must do something. Oh, Aaron, I like your answer. Stress is a hormone. Choi, excuse me, by the way, if I can't pronounce your name well, but I'll do my best. And if I make a mistake with your name, please correct me in the chat room. So Betty says, the moment that we are suffering from the coronavirus, oh, certainly, we can see how our topics relate today. I mean, Professor Kiva talked about the coronavirus, and I'm sure that it was brought up in her discussion about how stressful this current situation is. So everybody, I hope that you're all healthy and that you're coping well with this stressful situation. Very good. So I think we have a lot of great ideas and examples of stress. I just wanted to give you a little bit of the background. we have something, a part of our brain called the hypothalamus. And you could think of that as like the tiny control center in your mind, and it sends directions or orders to your whole body. So the hypothalamus says when you encounter a stressful situation, it says, okay, send out the stress hormones. And then these stress hormones, they flood your body, and they're there in a sort of fight or flight reaction. It's a response, it's an ancient response that our bodies have to get us out of stressful or threatening or horrible situations. So, exactly, yes, our brain tells our body, let's prepare. So, we can feel some symptoms of stress. Perhaps your heart races, your breath quickens, your muscles tense, and they get ready for action. And when our stress hormones are firing, and firing means being activated, being used, being triggered, for instance, all of these words, when they are firing or being used repeatedly, because you're encountering these stressful situations often in your daily life, this over time exposure to stress can certainly lead to some health problems. However, I want to keep our conversation today as light as possible and more focused on the ESL or EFL context, meaning that we'll just learn words about stress and how we can talk about our stress. I don't want to bore you too much with the scientific details or anything too negative and depressing. Let's have a look at the comments for a minute before we move into our next section. I have some great comments to catch up on. Yes, emotional agonies in a negative way by Hyunju Kim. Thank you. I really like that idea. Emotional agonies or our sorrows, our issues, anything that's negative, really. But stress, Hyunju Kim says, sometimes plays a positive part in our lives. Oh, that's a really great idea. Yes. And I do plan on talking about that later on in our lesson today, because people sometimes talk about positive stress and negative stress. So, stress can obviously affect us in negative ways and give our bodies a very difficult time, but also stress can maybe motivate us. A little bit of stress sometimes can actually push us. It can propel us to do something important, such as right before you go on stage to deliver a speech or a presentation, the butterflies in your stomach, that stressful feeling, it can maybe help you perform even better in certain cases. Well said. I like that idea. I'd like to recommend Aaron Griffin, Aaron Giraffe? Oh, I'm so sorry. I really mispronounced, or we could say an expression here. I butchered your name. I did not mean to mispronounce that. I'm so sorry. So I'll just go by your first name. Aaron said, I'd like to recommend a book, The Deepest Well, if you guys are interested in stress. Oh, that is awesome. Please do share any resources that you may have that can help people cope with stress. We could even put this all under the umbrella of self-help or therapy or healing. Healing is another, I think it's a popular trend or idea currently in Korea. And we'll be talking about healing cafes, healing pods a little bit later. Great comments. I watched a TED Talk, Helen J says, where they talk about stress and how it can be helpful if you receive it positively. That's right. That's right. We were just discussing that. Yes, stress can sometimes really contribute positively to your life. Gina Park says, when we take the test, moderate stress could be effective. Oh, yes. I believe that some amount of stress can help you perform well. Excellent. Okay, we're going to move on. So, we talked a little bit about the symptoms of being under a lot of stress. Let me see if there are any that I missed. So, I'm going to type that in our chat. The question is, what are some symptoms? Symptoms mean your body's response, how your body reacts to. What are some symptoms of being under or experiencing stress? I'll put that in our chat room. And I'd love to hear your answers before we move on to the vocabulary section. What are some symptoms of being under a lot of stress? You'll notice here that I use the expression under a lot of stress. We're going to look at later how there are a lot of ways we can talk about stress: being put into a stressful situation, being under stress, experiencing stress, being stressed out. Yes, there are actually so many, and we'll look at that soon. But just pay attention to that expression, under a lot of stress. It's like, actually, it's just like saying you're being put under a lot of pressure. And that preposition really puts the emphasis on how stress can really push down on us and make us feel like we're being, I don't know, compressed or crushed or something. That could maybe be similar to how we feel. So that's why we use under a lot of stress. And you could even say an expression like, oh, I underwent a lot of stress 2 years ago when I was in the hospital. That's a way that you can use under stress. Let me look at what you have to say. The physical symptoms of being under stress. T. Jenny says, become hopeless. Yes, that's a feeling that we have, certainly. I feel a fast heartbeat, says Keshik Park. Thank you. Lovely answer. Helen J says, sleepless or sleep deprived. Oh, certainly, certainly. Yes. Okay, a rapid heartbeat. Oh, everyone is mentioning that, it seems. Pimples. Yes, yes. Pimple, I guess, could mean jump in Korean. Right. So I break out often. That means I get a lot of pimples when I am under stress. I dye my hair and I get pimples. Such is life. I think gray hair is coming up. That's right. You can also have some gray hairs appear when you are under a lot of stress. Sweaty palms, sweat on our palms, well done. Headache and stomach ache, certainly. Dry mouth and binge eating. Oh, that's a great expression. For those of you who may not know, binge eating is when we could say what's the proper word I'm looking for? We are not following our diet, or we break our diet, or we go off our diet, and we just decide to eat so much food. It's uncharacteristic of us. We eat so much food in a very short amount of time. And binge eating is a definite way that people cope with their stress, certainly. And I am certainly guilty of that. Okay. Eye twitches. Yeah, that's right. I had a friend in Canada who would have an eye twitch every time the boss spoke to my friend. So it often happened at work. It was a government job, and it was a high pressure. Yes. Okay. Joyce Wu says, I eat a lot and sleep. Become fatter. Indigestion physically and having a headache, says T. Jenny. Oh, wow. We're with a really sharp bunch. These are all great. Okay, so we have discussed some symptoms. If you want, you can keep them coming in. I'll catch up with them later, but we will move on. Some symptoms of being under a lot of stress. So what I'd like to do now is actually give you some words or phrases that we can use when we are describing our feeling of being stressed out. As I mentioned earlier, we can be stressed out, we can be under stress, but we can't be stressed in. So be careful, don't use that preposition. We can't be stressed in, though we could be in a stressful situation. Another way is you could say that you are just simply stressed out. I think that's a very common one that native speakers use, or wound up. Actually, I'll refer to my notes now. I'll bring you closer. And as we go closer here, I hope you cannot see my little bit messy apartment. Okay, just a moment, everybody. Stress. We'll talk first about stressed out. And this is a very common phrasal verb. You could say it in sentences like, everybody around me is so stressed out. Oh, I'm so stressed out or by or over or with the coronavirus. So I'm so stressed out because of the coronavirus. I'm so stressed out by the coronavirus. I'm so stressed out over the coronavirus. Actually, all of those can be said. So don't worry too much, but don't say I'm so stressed in about. That wouldn't really make sense. This person is very stressed out with everything going on in their life. What else can we say? Oh, you should laugh or you'll get stressed out. We also have other constructions of the sentences. If you're referring to yourself and you're changing the order, you could say, you're stressing me out. That means I'm the receiver of the stress. Oh, You're stressing me out. Please stop. I'm so worried right now. Don't tell me that. Oh, I'm so stressed out. You are stressing me out. So I will put this one in our chat room. Stressed out. Could somebody please use the expression stressed out, which is probably the most common one to use, as I had mentioned, um, stressed out in a sentence. So your challenge, everybody, please use stressed out. You can stress somebody out. You could become stressed out. Let's see what we have. And while you're typing, I will catch up on some of these comments. Having a shower. I think that sure you can shower to kind of restart yourself, reset your day in a sense, or you can feel refreshed again and ready to tackle whatever you need to do. T. Jenny says many people are stressed out by the coronavirus. Perfect. Yes. Excellent sentence. Thank you. I am stressed out, says Joyce Wu, because my boss pushes me and things are too much. Lovely sentence. Wow, I like that. Even the expression too much, it means it's too much to handle. There's too much going on. I like that sentence. Well done. Helen J says, I'm stressed out because of my annoying brother. Yes, I suppose family, they can be a source of stress, in annoying ways, in small ways, in big ways, let's say, certainly. I'm stressed out because a girl I was seeing left me. Oh, that's hard. I am so sorry. I don't have much to say in terms of condolences because I don't know what to say. I've never been in that situation, but just fighting, cheer up. Sorry, I used a little bit of Konglish there. Fighting should be actually just, good luck, best of luck. I hope you do well. I'm rooting for you. Cheer up. So relationships can cause stress. That's the point here. So we'll move on. I get stressed out when I see my account. Jump, jump, jump. So ellipses, dot, 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 and balance. I think we all can experience that, especially now with the coronavirus, because of, let's just say that there's some financial uncertainty right now, especially with the stock markets or the global markets, etc. So yes, finances are a cause for stress. Apple says hello. Hello, welcome back, Apple. Yunhei Choi says, my son's stressed out because he cannot meet his friend. Perfect. Perfect expression. That's a great sentence. All of the sentences, by the way, have been perfect thus far. Thank you. Betty says, I'm stressed out when I have to decide something all by myself. Yes, yes. I also have some, we can call that like decision anxiety, maybe like stress about making a decision. Well done. I am stressed out because of studying English, says Apple. We'll talk about that later because as far as I know, from what my students in Korea have told me, that English education can cause stress for many English learners. So unfortunately, yes, studying English for whatever purposes, to take a test, to become employed, and also just because of, I could say, the mechanics of the English language, there are just so many exceptions and rules that can be broken, and idioms that can be confusing, and there's just so much that can cause stress to learners. But what I always tell students who are feeling anxiety over learning English, I tell them just to, it sounds cliche, but let it go, because native speakers such as myself, other professors, native speakers across the world, or the primary English speakers, we make mistakes often. So always keep that in mind. It's just human nature to make a mistake, whether you're speaking or writing. So please, if you ever make a mistake with your English, let it roll off your shoulder. That means just brush it off. Don't think about it, because as long as you can communicate and get your idea across, you're doing well, and you're very smart for knowing more than one language. So, okay, pep talk over. Breakout, same as stressed out by Joy Kwan. Is breakout the same as stressed out? Breakout, that means many things, actually. We can break out, as I mentioned before, like about having pimples suddenly appear on your face, a breakout of acne, a breakout of pimples. We could say that somebody broke out of jail. I know a lot of English learners like to watch the Netflix show. I think it's Prison Break. So that's where the prisoners escape from jail. They break out of jail. And actually, there are other ways that we can use break out, but I think it's not the same as stressed out, actually. But it could be something that you get from being stressed out. You can have a breakout on your face. Aaron says, too many negative newses. That one, actually, news is non-count. So we'll just say too many negative news stories, or we'll just say the news. Like too much negativity on the news make a lot of people stressed out. I agree. Yes. I always go through phases personally of watching the news and being well informed, and then staying far away from it because it could also stress me out. Okay, very good. Okay, I see so many lovely messages here. I'll read just one more before we move on to our next sentence. Not so well drawing, painting stresses my daughter out sometimes. Oh, yes. So when we want to get good at a skill, meaning get good at is just another way of expressing to, become an expert, to advance in your skill, to, what's another way? Just achieve something in your field. So yes, when you aren't really grasping yet what you need to do and you're not seeing that progress, yeah, that can certainly stress you out. But to Myung-so's daughter, I just say keep going and practice makes perfect. I'm sure you're excellent at drawing. Okay, our next one is here. Wound up. Some native speakers will say this. It's really similar to stressed out, but again, stressed out is the preferred term, I would say, personally. However, wound up, you can picture something like a spindle, some object like this, and a yarn, and we're winding it up. You could think of like a coil or a spring. So basically, when you compress it and put the pressure, oh, you're so wound up, and then right? You come undone. You somehow have to release your stress. So we could say, oh, I'm just so wound up these days. That means like I have so much stress. I have so much tension. I'm so wound up these days because of X, Y, and Z. So wound up, let's try to make some sentences with that, shall we? Who can try wound up in a sentence? You could say, oh, my boss really winds me up, or my children really wind me up, or I was so wound up because of my husband spending $1,000 on a belt or an article of clothing. I don't know why I said belt. It was the first thing that came to mind. Okay, so wound up. And this is like the same spelling as another word. So wound, wound means wound, and wound is like an injury or it's like a deep gash. It's just something you don't want to have. It's a pretty bad injury. So same spelling, but different pronunciation. So keep that in mind. It's one of those tricky ones. Wound up. So how can we use wound up in a sentence? I will type it. And it's a state of being. So we became wound up after something. We became wound up after watching TV. Yes. Studying wound me up sometimes, but I should do the right thing. Perfect, perfect. You could just say, keep it in the present tense, in the simplest form, like, oh, studying winds me up sometimes, but I should do the right thing. Very good. I'm so wound up, says Gina Park, because of the coronavirus. Perfect sentence. Thank you so much. I'm so wound up because of COVID. Yes. Thank you. I'm going to try to speak Korean. Japu A. Oh, I'm so bad at pronouncing some things sometimes, so please bear with me. I'll just call you A because I can identify the letter A in your name. I'm so wound up, says A, because of the coronavirus. Certainly, as we all are. T. Jenny, she's wound up right now. Oh, T. Jenny, I wonder why. I hope that this broadcast is not making you feel any stress. I don't want to wind you up. She was wound up due to a tight deadline, says Hyunju Kim. Perfect. If my boss gives me a lot of jobs, I will be wound up, says Kyung Sun Park. Also lovely. Oh, this is great. Okay. So we have more formal ways of expressing being stressed out or wound up, we can say, I mentioned this earlier about being under. You could say that you're under a lot of pressure or you're under a lot of stress. Honestly, I think that native speakers use these interchangeably, so we don't need to worry about the subtleties about these two words because they're synonyms. That means they're very similar in nature to each other. So, under a lot of stress, I would love for somebody to use either of these in a sentence, and I'll type it for you as well. Under a lot of pressure or under a lot of stress. I would love to hear what you have to say about that. So the examples could be my coach put me under a lot of stress to always make the winning shot. Um, I could say that I was under so much I was under so much pressure when I had to perform the national anthem at the baseball game. Oh, Aaron, thank you. I hadn't even thought of it, but you're right. Under Pressure is a Queen song title. I'm a huge Queen fan, so thank you for that reference. I really appreciate it. I'm under a lot of pressure because of or due to the coronavirus, says A. Thank you. Lovely. Um, Apple simply says, I am under a lot of pressure. I wonder why, Apple. I hope that you can relieve that burden, that someone can take that pressure or stress just off your shoulders. Getting older and older, I'm under a lot of pressure. I can relate, yes. Uh-huh. Me too, says Aaron. Yes, I really love Queen, and we could talk for a long time. We could talk for ages about Queen. Um, Kang Sungyeon says, I'll just say Kang. Kang says she cannot draw like before because she is under a lot of stress now. Yes, good sentence. Apple says, I'm under a lot of stress these days. Apple, you are doing so well. You are nailing it. All of your sentences are so perfect. Lovely. T. Jenny says, when you're under a lot of stress, listen to music loudly. That's a great technique. Very good. Yes, Hyunju, very good comment. Many interviewees, and I like that word, tend to be under a lot of pressure during their job interviews. Interviewees, nice. That just means the candidates, the people who are participating in the interview, they're not conducting the interviews, right? The interviewer puts the interviewees under a lot of stress. Excellent. Many people are wound up by the China virus or coronavirus stress, says Joy Kwan. Thank you. Lovely job. Another comment, I've been under a lot of stress due to English. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm under a lot of stress when driving a car, says Ki Byung Kim. Lovely sentence. That's absolutely perfect. And I also can relate. I drive in Canada. I'm always under a lot of stress when I drive in major cities such as Toronto or Vancouver. I live in Seoul, and actually, I'm too afraid to drive my car or drive anything in Seoul because it's such a big city, much bigger than the cities I've experienced in Canada because our population is smaller compared to Korea. So, yes, I just want to say that driving also stresses me out. Aaron, I'm under a lot of pressure to make a concrete plan for my future. Oh, well said. Yes, yes, we can all relate to that, certainly. Very good. Okay, so I would like to ask you another question. It is here. What are some causes of stress? And I know a lot of you have already spoken about the causes of stress when you're using your example sentences. So I would like to rephrase that sentence and say, what is your primary cause of stress? That means, what's your number one cause of stress? What's the biggest thing that gives you stress? So we could say things such as preparing for an exam, studying English, taking a plane, driving a car in heavy traffic, asking somebody to go on a date. Oh, the list goes on really. So I'd love to hear. So, what is your primary? Because yes, I am editing this sentence. What is, not are, what is your primary, meaning your biggest cause of stress? Here, now we have it in the chat. Oh, everyone is saying English. I'm so sorry. Making money, my job, sitting on a chair for a long time. Yes, living a sedentary lifestyle can do that. Money. We have some multiple answers, of course. Money, job, my future. Yes. Oh, those are very important things. So it's understandable why we would be stressed out over them. An unsolvable problem. Oh, I like that. Um, oh, Erin says my mother's forcing me to get married. So like my mother's pressuring me to get married. I'm under a lot of pressure by my parents to get married. Staying alive, LOL. Autumn story, thank you for the laugh. Yes. And actually, um, we if we look at it seriously, that is an important thing. Like just keeping your body healthy, staying active, fighting off or warding off the coronavirus. What are some others? When my husband buys new electronics, Uni, I really would love to know more about that. Oh, I have a lot of stories to share, but I could save that maybe for another lesson because my dad loves electronics. However, setting them up is another story, and that causes him a lot of stress, which then gives everybody in our family a lot of stress. Similar to IKEA furniture, actually. When you buy something that you need to assemble from the box, oh, that could be stressful. Okay. Someone wants to do something when he or she cannot do anything nowadays and we cannot move to any places. Yes, it's kind of like this feeling of being contained, or we could say we're very claustrophobic. We're restless. We're restless. Some people even have an expression called stir crazy, and that's just that sensation of you really want to do something. You have this frustration because you want to leave your house. You want to go to the movie theater. You want to live your life as you normally would, but you cannot due to the coronavirus. Mhm. Eunice says, "My husband bought a new cell phone." Losing weight makes me stressed out these days because I couldn't work out a lot. Oh, I can relate as well. Again, I mentioned the word sedentary, meaning just I'm not moving my body as much as I usually do. I'm usually sitting down in one place. Oh, excuse me. Nagging some partner. Great word, nagging. I think we've all experienced nagging before from our loved ones, our friends, or we could say our spouses, our husbands or wives. Yes, nagging. They're telling you, do this, do that constantly. When I have to do something I don't want to do. Great. Oh, these are all lovely. All right. So I would like to talk next. I'm going to put this away for a minute, actually. I will just turn the screen. So, about what we can do to relieve our stress. That means what can make us calm down, what can wind us down, what can de stress us. So, I'm going to write these three words in the chat room, and we're going to first have a discussion about them. So, now we're going to talk about ways to remedy this problem of stress. So, how do you, I'm typing the question, how do you relax? We could also say, how do you de stress? Or what do you do to relax? What do you do to de stress? What do you do to also wind down? We talked about being wound up. We can also wind down. So, how do you relax? How do you de stress? How do you wind down? It's the same thing as saying, what do you do to relieve your stress? I will type that as well. So, we have a reference point. What do you do to relieve your stress? What are some common things? Oh, we have some other messages coming in from the previous section about what stresses you out. Driving a car, I need to drive, says for you, Jik, but because I don't want to. I do not want to drive. I do not like driving because of a car accident, either having experienced one before or you're afraid of experiencing one. Okay, well said. Yes, that is an important thing. We need to stay safe on the road. Nagging partner, says Aaron. I strongly agree with that. Okay, everyone, let's keep going now with how do you relax, de-stress, or wind down? I want to hear your methods, and I'll tell you some of mine. Apple, watch a movie and eat popcorn. Yes. Doing what? Doing anything, perhaps? Doing nothing? Some people say doing nothing, just staying calm, not thinking about anything, meditating, doing nothing in a sense. Sleeping is the best in my cases for you. Yes, I relate also. Doing what I love, brackets, sleeping. Sleeping is a great one, it seems. Um, when I want to wind myself down, says Erin, I usually read books or watch movies. Yes, lovely, lovely pastimes, and they're certainly very calming. Joseph, I drink beer or play games all day. Kongsum Park says, I read a good book. A says, when I speak ill of others. I love that you're honest. Many of us do feel this sense of satisfaction or relief or yeah, like we can release our stress by perhaps gossiping, so speaking ill of others in a way. But gossiping doesn't necessarily mean speaking ill. I guess it could mean just sharing stories about others. But of course, speaking about others in any case is not a favorable thing to do. It's not that kind. But I think we're all guilty of it as human beings. We're social creatures, so I understand completely. Yep, maybe going to the cafe, even meeting with your friends, sharing a latte, and just sharing your life stories together. I go to the swimming pool. Awesome. That's a really great sport. I run away from grouchy people. I love the word grouchy. Grouchy means like grumpy or cranky, easily irritated. hmm I recommend taking a bath to be wound down. Oh, Erin, great sentence. I recommend taking a bath to wind down. That sounds a little bit more natural, you could say. So I recommend taking a bath to wind down. Great. I eat a lot. hmm I can't go out because of COVID. So I do aerobics watching YouTube for about 25 minutes. Oh, that's great. Home exercises are a great substitute for the gym because we can't really be leaving our homes right now all that often. Grouchy. Grouchy comes up again, so I become grouchy. Maybe you could say, take my stress out on other people, or I snap. Snap is again that idea of like being like wound up. You can just break or you could snap, and then maybe you yell at your partner or you yell at your friend or you yell at your dog. So releasing perhaps your anger is another way of de-stressing. Oh, Kim Ki Jong, I hope I said that well. Kim says, how about a horror movie? I like that idea. Yes, I can relate to that. Like people maybe want to escape in the world of fantasy or see a situation that's unbelievable and not at all like their own. As I mentioned before in the last lesson, I really love Bong Joon-ho. So watching some of his more horror style movies or thriller movies, oh, that's a great way to get lost in a story and relieve your stress. Drinking some soju, says Yang Shin-nuk. I hope I said that well. If not, I apologize and let me know how to say your name properly for next time. Drinking some soju with some people, except people who have caused the something that has stressed me out. Well said, well said. Listening to music. Very, very good. Okay. If I had to answer this question, I would personally say maybe watching YouTube. I enjoy watching YouTube. My favorite streamers, YouTube how-to videos, how to cook a recipe that I'm wondering about. What else? Listening to music on YouTube. I guess I use YouTube in so many ways. Oh, lectures. I can hear lectures from well, in a variety of different subjects. So yes, I use YouTube as just a way to be entertained, to unwind, to de-stress. And okay, we can say changing my hair color, as well as sleeping. Those are great ways for me to relieve my stress. Oh, we have another one come up. Food fighter. I love the expression food fighter, actually. Although when I first moved to Korea, I didn't know what it meant because I do believe that food fighter is a little bit Konglish. but it's just a cool expression in Korea. My understanding of it is somebody who eats a lot of food, kind of like a competitive eater or just someone who has a big appetite and can like satiate or satisfy that appetite a lot. So, yeah, but food fighter though, if you say food fight, just food fight to a native speaker, they will have the idea of people having a fight, as in like a snowball fight where people pick up, some snow and they throw it at each other. It's like a food fighter makes me think of someone who is in a food fight. And food fights are not something that's usual in my country, Canada, but you can see it in Hollywood movies sometimes. And it's something that children usually do. So I believe that I participated in a food fight once. And it was just with I was a child. And basically, my parents allowed me to like throw the food around a little bit because we had seen it in a movie. So that's a food fight. It could happen maybe at a school cafeteria. But my parents allowed me to do it once because I guess I was nagging them. I was asking, let me have a food fight. And then, yeah, they let me do it once. And then they scolded me because they said it was such a wasteful thing. And then I had to help them clean it up. So that's a food fight. So food fighter, long story short, is a little bit Konglish. But we'll move on. Eating a lot of food, certainly. Recently, I've seen several movies related to infections such as contagion and kamgi, like maybe cold, outbreak, etc. Oh, those are great titles, and I'm actually not that familiar with them, although I'm a big movie fan, so I'll be Googling, as in searching for them later. YouTube as well, I relate to that. A sad movie. Yeah, sad movies. And then we also have, I get my fix to relieve my stress. Okay, not quite sure about that. Maybe fixing something? Or you can use that word to my fix. Kind of a slang or an expression that people say, like, I get my fix of chocolate. It's kind of like you're addicted to chocolate. You're an addict of something, you get your fix. So I get my fix of chocolate to relieve my stress. That's a very unique expression, Bob. So I'm really curious about how you learned that. Maybe from a movie? um, Watching a mukbang. Oh, mukbang. We could talk for hours about mukbang. Yes. Just watching somebody enjoy their food is a really great cathartic, meaning like a cathartic way, a cathartic experience. It's like a way that you just release, yeah, your stress, your feelings that are all stuck or pent up inside of you. Cleaning my room. Oh, yes, I do that too, actually. Cleaning. A lot of people say that cleaning is like an adult's like hobby or adult's game or something that adults do for fun. And it is true. Cleaning makes me happy. Okay, great, great, great. Wow, time flies, everybody. I believe I'll mention one more thing before we get into our quiz, actually. So, I wanted to ask you, actually, because I'm not the most familiar with it, but there's a concept of healing, and I'll type it here, healing. So in Korea, I often hear people say things like, "Let's have some healing," or "Oh, I really need some healing. Let's go to the healing cafe," or "Let's take a break." So I would really like to know what everyone has to say about this trend of healing. Um, Although, please be careful because in English, although you can certainly say healing to mean de-stress, healing can be a way of de-stressing. I just think that maybe native speakers aren't that familiar with the idea of healing being totally relegated to the mental aspect or the therapeutic and emotional sense. So I remember the first time I heard the expression like healing, like, oh, I really need some healing, said to me in Korea, I kind of thought like, healing, like, what's broken, what needs to be healed? Or I thought of a video game with a healer casting a spell on somebody. So I didn't really get the sense of healing, and I just would love to know more about it. So I know that healing, I think you can define it as like the process of making something sound or healthy again. And it's certainly therapeutic and a little bit medical too. Just to give an example of how I would use these words differently, I would say let's say I hurt my knee, I injured my knee. I hurt my knee, so my hurt knee healed quickly. But I wouldn't really say my hurt feelings healed quickly. you can. Native speakers will. But I just think that it's just not as common yet to be using healing solely for like, the emotional side. But again, it's not incorrect. So nobody has gotten it wrong. It's just a new thing. And, I do think that it's a cool concept. And I hope that it spreads more across the world and people talking about, healing our whole body, not just the physical, but also the spiritual, emotional, mental side too. So I just want to check your comments now and see. Oh, I have Bob asking, how long will it last? I think you're referring to this talk today. How long will our lesson last? These are scheduled for 1 hour. So we're about 45 minutes in. So we have about 15 minutes left to go. We have a quiz coming up and then just a bit of a overall free talking session. So that is our plan. Healing, yes. So tell me about healing. Travel is healing. Yes, but at the moment, unfortunately, Apple, travel can become the source of stress, right? With the coronavirus, usually travel, taking a trip, it helps us, but at the moment, it's something that can totally hinder us and give us more stress than what it's worth. I have some friends in Korea. They're a couple, and they are going to get married very soon, and their honeymoon is, I believe, in October, maybe October, November. And the destination that they chose is Italy. And I feel so sorry for this couple because they're so worried. They keep thinking, oh, do we need to cancel our honeymoon? Yes, it's a big stressful situation for them. Yoga, listening to healing music, sitting on a sofa and dancing only my upper body. Oh, I love that. That's a really nice image. And it sounds relaxing. And dancing only my upper body. You mean like this, kind of just doing a chair dance, moving a little bit. We pick herbs from the field to get healing. Yes, yes. So plants have healing or medicinal properties. And I would love to talk about Eastern and Western medicine another time. That would be a really fascinating conversation with everybody here. Spending time, Hyunju Kim says, with my close friends. Yes, yes, that's so therapeutic and good for the soul. Spending time together. Oh, I'm repeating the same comment. I think it's a good chance right now for me to have a sip of water. There are so many meaning differences using words between native speakers and Koreans. Yes, yes, Erin, what a great point. And I hope that through these lessons with Professor Kiva and I, we can show you how English can be used in a more conversational manner because this live stream format, it's not, how can I explain this? It's not like we're writing. It's not the most academic lecture because of the medium, meaning we can only deliver this way at the moment due to the coronavirus. So we're speaking naturally, we're speaking freely. And I think there's a lot of merit in learning how native speakers just speak naturally. So there's going to be plenty of idioms, plenty of phrasal verbs, and just words used in a way that maybe you're not encountering all the time in your formal lectures or in reading and writing. Great point. Sung Park says, meeting a good person. Yes, yes, that's great. There's so many good people out there, and it's just important to remember that whenever we're stressed out over the actions of one individual. We talked earlier about people giving you stress, but that's not everybody. Most people, they're here to make your day brighter. I think reading books could be very good for that, could be very good for healing or taking a break, winding down, de-stressing. Very good. Healing is a word associated with treatment, not emotionally among native speakers. Yes, T. Jenny, I think that's a great takeaway point. However, we still do use it sometimes for feelings, but I just think that healing, I would, it's more focused on the treatment aspect. So you picked up on that, right? And we could talk about emotional healing. It's certainly an idea kind of like relegated to like self-help and therapy. I just think it's not in the common parlance. I just don't think it's like a daily thing that people say, but you can use healing to talk about your emotions and you're not wrong. And I hope I made that clear. It's not wrong. It's just new. Beer, it comes up again, beer. Healing might refer to treating yourself better. Oh, that's great. I like that, Bob. Thank you. Apple. Okay. I'll skip over that because I just want to keep this an only English conversation. I was also surprised when I found out the meaning difference solitude. I believe enjoying solitude will be helpful for healing. Yes, yes. Being solitary, experiencing solitude, for example, going out in nature, taking a walk alone all by yourself like this. Yes, yes. Listening to old songs that I liked in childhood. Oh, Kibyong, excuse me, Kim. Yes, yes, I can relate. That is such a great way to reminisce, feel some nostalgia, and think about the good old times, as they say, good old times. Hiking a moderate mountain. Excellent. We have some hiking fans here, I see. Solitude usually only means lonely. Oh, thank you, Erin, for that follow-up. Yes, as a little bit of a side conversation. Oh, and it kind of was deleted. Okay, we'll address that later. But I just wanted to say that, yeah, uh, solitary does not mean exactly lonely. Like you could be solitary by choice. You could be enjoying a solitary or independent activity. So I think lonely, I'm not sure the Korean. Wait up, wait up. It's kind of like it's very, very strong. I'm lonely. Oh, I'm lacking people around me. I'm so sad. I'm so depressed because I'm so lonely. But being solitary, being independent, it just means that you're doing it alone. And there's nothing like inherently good or bad about being alone. Oh, everybody, time flies. Let me just see a few more before we move on. Meditation, reading a book, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Autumn, great book choice. And I'm assuming you're reading that in English, so good for you. Listening to music and sleeping, says Gina Park. Oh, lovely, everyone. I love this. And I'm so proud of everyone because sometimes people say unstress. Native speakers can say it too, but I prefer the term you de-stress. It's like you detox. Unstress is more of like a language term if you're talking about stressed and unstressed syllables, like in poetry. So I'm glad no one said unstress. I like that we're saying like de-stress, unwind, calm down, etc. Good. Okay, so quiz time, everybody. Oh, we're a little bit locked in here. Forgive me. I'll just show it here. Quiz time. So we have prepared a quiz. And my questions today for the quiz, I will say them. I won't write them. So you need to listen. And the first student who messages in the chat will get a prize. Again, as I explained about the prizes, they are, just a moment. Yeah, this looks better. They are for if and when I ever meet you, because as you know, that I'm based in Seoul at our university. But there are events held in Seoul and sometimes around, but I cannot comment on any future in-person events, as you know, because of the coronavirus. So I can't guarantee that I will ever meet you in person, face-to-face. I would love to. And if we do, please accept this. Some spicy ramyun. So your prize for answering my quiz is the carbonara buldak. I can't even pronounce it well. I'll just call it the fire ramyun because we hadn't really mentioned it, but at least for me, when I eat spicy food, I release my stress. I love spicy food because it just calms me down and kind of just gets my blood pumping. It makes me sweat even a little bit. Sorry to share that. TMI, too much information for you. And oh yeah, so it makes me feel good. And this is not a product placement, so I hope that we won't get in any trouble here. There are other brands and types, obviously, of spicy food and spicy ramen, but that's just the one that I have right now. So this is our prize, everybody. So let's get started. Our first question. Aaron says, what a Korean prize. Spicy food is great. Okay, it's really easy. 3, 2, 1, everybody. Who can use stress out perfectly in a sentence? Who can use stress out perfectly in a sentence? So that means there are no mistakes in your sentence. I hope you don't feel any pressure right now. Sorry. But as we mentioned that stress can sometimes be good for you, right? Positive stress. So this is a test, a very low stakes test situation. No pressure. So, and I will say that stressed, you can modify it. You can say stressed out, something stresses me out. Just give me a great sentence. Yeah. I'm going to give it to you. I'm so stressed out for COVID. There you go. A little bit of a mechanics tip. It's a little bit more natural if you say like because of or over or with, but that was a hard sentence and you did a great job. But I will give another one of these to a student who also can give me another sentence like that. So I think the next person, so A, good job. The next student is Aaron. I stressed out when I found out my cat ripped my homework. Okay, so A and Aaron, both of you are proud winners of some de-stress food, and I hope I get to meet you. Two more questions. Name, let's say, name 3 common causes of stress. So just name 3 causes of stress in a nice sentence. Oh, great sentences coming into. Oh, T. Jenny. Yes, I'm stressed out by the test. That's perfect English. Lovely, lovely job. Erin says, thank you. You're welcome. All right, everyone, just to remind you, the question is name 3 causes or common causes of stress. Money, future, and studying is my biggest stress. Okay, Joseph, well done. Yes, so money, comma, future, comma, and studying are the reasons why I am so stressed out. Apple says subscribe and like. Thank you. I like that you're promoting our channel. So Joseph, thank you. And yes, Joel says when I have multiple quizzes or tests in one day. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Yes. Oh, that's a great sentence. Oh, I really should be giving spicy food to everybody. If I get a big pack, I will share with as many as I can. For you, Jig says test, duty, relationship. Oh, duty. That's a great word. We didn't really talk about it, but it's like your responsibilities. English, money, and war. Oh, very good too. Thank you. Money making. I like that expression. Testing and weight. Oh, I can relate to those. Good job. Good job. Okay, everyone. And our third and our final question is now it's a little bit technical, and I believe I mentioned it at the beginning. It is what part of the brain releases stress hormones? So, what part of your brain is responsible for releasing stress hormones or the stress response? And you are free to Google it. Oh, we have a winner. That was lightning fast. Jo Young Jun. Yes, Joe, hypothalamus. Oh, I take my hat off to you. That just means I salute you. That's a great one. Yes. Okay, so also proud winner of some spicy food. Good job, everybody. It looks like we're running out of time. So I just want to end with a little bit of a free talk before we finish up. So let's get one more question to end. Which is a good question for you all. Who is the most stressed out person that you know? Maybe somebody in your life experiences stress or reacts to stress a lot. So, who is the most stressed out person that you know? Who is the most stressed out person that you know? Is it your teacher right now? Is it your mom? Okay, yes, we have Apple saying my mom. I think that's me, says Joseph. Me, myself, and I. Great expression, Chenny. So fun time, says Uni. Thank you. That's very kind of you. My boss, my mother, again, my boss. Great. So I think that the takeaway message here is whoever is stressed out, whether it's yourself or somebody in your life who's going through a hard time at the moment, especially with coronavirus, let's all try to be nice to each other and be nice to yourself. We say be good to yourself, be good to others. It's certainly a stressful time right now across the world. So let's all be nice to each other and forgive each other. If you see somebody who is acting out of sorts, acting out of their normal character, they're probably under a lot of pressure right now for various reasons. And a lot can be related to the coronavirus. So just, give them a break. Try to look on the positive side of things and yourself too. If you're feeling some stress right now, remember that this won't last forever, and be kind to yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously, and just always do your best. Keep smiling. Everyone, thank you so much. We'll end now. I really enjoyed speaking with you. If you have a question, just leave it in the comments. I'll check it out later. And please join us next week at the same time. So from 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock, with Professor Kiva and I. Professor Kiva will be discussing job interviews, and I'll be speaking about workplace etiquette. So the topic for next week is jobs. I really look forward to seeing you all again and hearing your comments. Again, if you have a question, leave that in the comments below the video. And it was great. It was a really fun time, everyone. Stay healthy. Take care. Bye-bye.